September 2022. Elon Musk shuts down Starlink coverage over Crimea. Ukrainian naval drones stop mid-mission. One man, one decision, and the military operation ends. Now picture this. January 17, 2026, Roscosmos announces serial production of Zorky satellites, over 300 units by 2027. Russian answer to the man who holds the kill switch. This is the moment the orbital power game changed forever, and the West is about to learn what happens when you turn infrastructure into a weapon. February 26, 2022, 2 days after Russia entered the Ukrainian territory, Elon Musk gets a tweet from Ukraine's digital minister. We need Starlink. Within 48 hours, terminals arrive in Kiev. By late 2023, over 42,000 terminals blanket Ukraine. Every artillery strike, every drone mission, every encrypted command runs through Starlink. Military experts call it the essential backbone of Ukrainian battlefield communication. Russia tries to jam it. Traditional electronic warfare fails. Starlink uses narrow beam Ku and Ka bands, decentralized, resilient. For the first time in history, a private satellite network becomes the spine of a modern war. Have you ever thought about who controls the network your country depends on? Here is where things get dark. September 2022, Ukraine plans a maritime drone attack on the Russian Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. They request extended Starlink coverage to Crimea. Musk says no. His reasoning: avoid a mini Pearl Harbor and potential nuclear escalation. SpaceX lawyers cite US sanctions and arms regulations. Fair points, perhaps, but the message to every sovereign nation watching was crystal clear. A tech CEO in California holds veto power over military operations 6,000 miles away. The network you depend on comes with strings attached, and those strings get pulled when it matters most. Russia watched this, China watched this, India watched this. The lesson landed. Here is the technical reality. SpaceX uses geofencing to limit service by geographic coordinates. When Ukrainian forces moved into newly liberated territories, Starlink coverage did not follow. Troops lost communication. The switch had not been flipped. Ukrainian sources described it as catastrophic for advancing units. Why? Because the service boundary requires manual updates from SpaceX headquarters. One company decides where war gets fought. Picture your military command trying to coordinate while waiting for a California startup to approve your grid square. This is digital sovereignty in reverse, and Russia took detailed notes on every failure. Fast forward to late 2025. Civil unrest erupts in Iran. Jacob Sullivan, US National Security Advisor under Biden, reveals that his administration had funneled funding to groups smuggling internet tools into the country.
The Biden administration put a lot of money into groups that were supplying the tools of internet access to Iran. Last year, the Trump administration slashed that funding. So this is one of those things that when it happened, a lot of people came out and said, you're going to be sorry you did this. And today, I think the Trump administration probably is sorry it did that, because now they're looking to try to get internet access.
When Trump takes office, he slams the funding shut, but the damage is done. Between 40,000 to 50,000 Starlink terminals already made it past Iranian borders. Protesters bypass state-controlled gateways. Coordination improves, the establishment faces collapse. Then something unexpected occurs. Iranian security forces, aided by Russian and Chinese technology, shut down Starlink nationwide. Military-grade RF and microwave jammers target the exact frequencies Starlink uses. Total packet loss, GPS desynchronization, complete blackout. Cost: 1.56 million US dollars per hour, but the Iranian government survives. Western analysts had called Starlink unjammable. Iran proved them wrong. The jamming tech was Chinese, the massive electronic warfare vehicles, Russian. January 17, 2026, Dmitry Bakanov, head of Roscosmos, steps to the podium. Serial production of Zorky terminals begins immediately. Target: over 300 satellites by 2027. These are ultra-compact CubeSat platforms, 12U form factor, built for one purpose: high-resolution imagery independent of Western systems. Resolution: 2.75 to 6.6 meters per pixel. Critics point out US KH-11 satellites achieve 5 to 15 centimeters per pixel, way sharper. But here is what they miss. Zorky provides continuous, real-time coverage of the entire planet. Not snapshots, not scheduled phases, constant eyes. Zorky handles reconnaissance, but what about communications? Enter Rassvet, Russian for dawn, developed by Bureau 1440. Budget: 445 billion rubles through 2030, roughly 5.7 billion US dollars. Phase 1, 300 satellites by 2027. Full deployment: 886 satellites by 2030. Production target: 200,000 terminals annually. Military operations, disaster zones, Arctic coverage. All domestic, all sovereign. Rassvet integrates into Russia's Sphere program, aiming for 650 satellites by decade's end. Launches on Soyuz and Angara rockets. Every component built in Russia, every decision made in Moscow. When the next crisis hits, there is no phone call to California. There is no corporate board deciding your fate. You control your sky. Does your nation have that control? Russia moves fast, China moves faster. Meet Guowang, the national network. Target: 13,000 satellites. By late 2025, over 100 units operational. These are not Starlink clones. Guowang satellites are larger, heavier, and launch in a unique double-decker configuration inside Long March 5B and 12 rockets. Central load-bearing cylinder, radial satellite distribution. China optimizes every cubic meter of fairing space. They are also building Queen Fan, Southern Sails, 108 satellites in orbit by October 2025. Same goal: sovereign internet independent on Western infrastructure. 2 constellations, 1 message. China will not ask permission to communicate. India takes a different angle. BharOS, formerly Indos, a closed-source mobile operating system developed by IIT Madras, funded by the Indian government. The target: Android and iOS independency. BharOS channels apps through a private, trusted store. State communications stay sealed from foreign backdoors. The Iran scenario rang alarm bells in New Delhi. Analysts now argue India must develop its own satellite internet framework and sovereign kill switch. No foreign control, no electronic denial from adversaries. The pattern is clear across BRICS. Build your stack, control your infrastructure, or someone else will control it for you. Let's talk money. US tech giants pour trillions into AI data centers. Many produce no immediate revenue. China takes a different path. Dilute AI applied to manufacturing. Real output, real products. In China, a gigawatt of power for high-tech manufacturing costs 1/6 the US price. This gives BRICS a massive edge in mass-producing satellite terminals. Meanwhile, China's Xinjiang Initiative, Document 79, sets a 2027 deadline. State-owned enterprises must replace 100% of foreign software. VMware, Fortinet, Palo Alto Networks, all out. They call it Delete America, Delete A, and the timeline is tight. But they are on track. Russia now offers satellite services to the global south at subsidized rates. Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia. Undercut Western pricing, build new dependencies, secure long-term allies. This is strategy, not charity, and the global south is listening. By 2027, the orbital landscape transforms. Starlink will not disappear, but it won't dominate alone. Russian Zorky and Rassvet, Chinese Guowang and Guowang, Indian BharOS, securing the software layer. These are the pillars of a multipolar digital order. Each constellation secures the communications and the reconnaissance of its sphere. Each removes dependency on Western approval. Each builds technological sovereignty brick by brick. The click that disabled Starlink in Iran was not an isolated event. It was the opening move in a longer game. A game where orbit equals power and power equals survival. For nations in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, this creates options. Option 1, depend on Starlink, risk geofencing, accept foreign veto power. Option 2, partner with BRICS constellations, gain sovereignty, accept different dependencies. Neither option is perfect, but one offers control. Russia subsidizes access. China builds terminals at scale. India secures the software. Together, they present an alternative to digital colonialism. Will the global south take it? That depends on how much they value independence and how much they trust the alternatives on offer. What would you choose? Here is what I have observed. The orbital frontier is now contested ground. Zorky, Guowang, BharOS, these are not just satellites and software. These are the infrastructure of a multipolar world. Ukraine taught one lesson. Satellites win wars. Iran taught another. Satellites can be shut down. The conclusion: build your own or live under someone else's terms. By 2027, the sky above looks different. Russian birds, Chinese networks, Indian operating systems. The monopoly breaks. The question is not if this shift occurs. The question is how your nation positions itself when it does. Track the satellites, watch the currencies, follow the infrastructure. That's where the real power moves. Did this shift your view? Drop a comment below. And if you want to see what's next in the BRICS playbook, subscribe. The war for digital sovereignty is accelerating.